Hi, I'm Diane, the corporate creative, doing art in times of stress to help me relax. In this session, we're doing I guess I would call it an ink doodle, where I'm working with circles, and all you need is a piece of paper. I'm using my mixed media journal by Canson, and I have these pens, ink pens, and then I'm just taking something that has a circular shape and I'm using it to create my forms and my circles before I start filling them with doodles. So I'm just working around the page, and I really don't have anything planned or laid out. So what you're going to find is that this allows you to just loosen up, not plan ahead, be in the moment, relax. You can free form the circles if you like, or you can take something like the bottom of a cup or a glass, or if you have anything that's circular. And I'm just showing you now, I did that in a different journal with watercolor paper, and I'm going to finish that with some watercolor on top. But in this case, I'm just focusing on the ink doodles, and each circle is almost like its own painting, but it's small in size, so it allows you to try different things and, go at your own pace. This is something you can start, put down, come back to whenever it is that you're ready. So as you can see, I am just having fun and doodling. This might remind you of being in school, if you ever were somebody that doodled on your paper, or sometimes at work I would do this on conference calls if I was listening but wanted to keep my hands busy in between taking notes. I would be doodling. So in this case, I'm just creating some space in a mixed media journal, and I am filling these little circles, and they're all going to have different shapes or items. In some cases, you might see me drawing patterns, or I might be drawing flowers or leaves. There are so many different things for you to draw. You probably, after doing this exercise, will find that you can come back to this because you're not committed to a certain theme for the entire painting. And so there's something to it that's very stress-free and relaxing. So in this case, I'm just doing like a pine needle leaf, and I'm going through this fairly fast, but you will also see me going over these marks to make them maybe bolder or darker. And I will post the supplies that I use into the description so that if you want to get the same pen, you could. I'm using different size pens, and some of these I'm using a size 5 or a size 8. You can also use paint pens. The Posca paint pens are great. You can do these little sketches in color, or you can do them black and white. So when I was on the plane, I had limited supplies. I love being able to do art when I'm traveling. That's kind of how I started doing art, traveling for work and feeling like I didn't have any me time. And this allowed me to kind of relax my brain and just kind of get into almost a meditative state, but a very quiet state where I was out of my head and I was truly just in the moment of painting. So as you can see, in this one, I am doing a smaller circle within the larger circle. Then I'm doing some line work. So just take your time. You are welcome to do the patterns that I do. You are welcome to find your own patterns that you like. If you really enjoy circles, you could fill it with all different size circles. If you enjoy triangles, if you enjoy botanicals, you could even do each circle with a face if you want to do different faces. And that is the beauty of art, is that everyone is attracted to different things with their eye, and so everyone might find their own way to go. This art project actually was, I saw a different artist actually create little circles in different colors with some ink sketching in it, and she cut the circles and used that for collage, and that just gave me the idea to just draw circles on a page. And so that's why I say is, copying is actually just part of life, right? It's like fashion, it's like anything. And then when you go in that direction, you might find that you'll copy 4 of mine and then find something that you like that you want to do on your own. So I keep shifting the camera here into different circles so you can see the different patterns that I'm doing. And then sometimes you'll find that I'll fast forward that. So I did some of those black boxes. I left some of them open. I like to do different lines, different patterns, and I'm just enjoying myself. This project, the first one I did, I was on a 5-hour plane ride, and it really took up probably 2 or 3 hours of the plane ride where I just enjoyed myself and worked on this. There was no Wi-Fi, and so this was kind of a nice tool, although, your hand does move sometimes with turbulence. When I got back to my studio, this project of filming took me a couple days because I walked away from it and then came back the next day to finish it. And that's sometimes fun. It's nice to be able to have something where you can use your own pace, go your own pace. So much of life is about rushing from one place to another place. So to be able to have something that allows you to tap into just sitting still for a moment is a luxury, and it feels indulgent. If you're somebody that's always rushing, it feels so indulgent to sit there and focus on something. And as you can see, I kind of go over some of these lines to make them thicker, more pronounced. I tend to go over the circles as well. What I find with this is it's a low pressure way to get into a creative mind space without needing to, I don't want to say be very artistic, but you don't necessarily have to know how to draw. You can do patterns and shapes in repetition. So there's a lot of ways to go with this. Right now I'm making this ginkgo leaf, which I tend to make in a lot of my other artwork. I love the ginkgo leaves. And you might see me, doing an eye. I love making eyes. And so this is really a project that allows you to practice some drawing skills, or you can always take a ruler if you wanted to make shapes and you're somebody that likes things very exact. This is me making the eye. And I have this sped up just a little bit. Otherwise, this video would be an hour long. So you're welcome to also pause it if you feel that you want to draw something similar, but you haven't drawn it before, or you can't draw as fast as my sped up video. You can just pause it. And all this eye is really with that ink pen. If you go over the areas again and again, you'll create darker shading. But I've done a lot of eyes in my years, so I tend to be able to do it fairly fast. I also find the simplicity of having limited supplies, because I like to do mixed media, which means I like to do and use a lot of different art supplies. But when I limit myself to just 1 or 2 things, what I find is that's also very calming, because your brain doesn't have to think, what's next? What color do I want next? What color fits with what I've already used? You basically just have your pen and the shapes that you're creating or the lines that you're drawing on the paper, and that's it. And just like I've had in other past videos where I made like the doodle. This is similar, except all my doodles are within these smaller circles. So this is really fun. And if you don't want to do circles, you could do triangles or squares and do those in repetition. The main part is that you enjoy yourself and you take a moment for yourself and show yourself that, you're worthy and you're deserving of time, and time to slow down. It's really regulating for your nervous system to sit still. And so this is where I'm at right now. I still have some empty circles that I'm going to continue to fill in here until I'm all done. And this is just me shading in some of these different patterns. If you're interested in seeing other patterns, you can also, find people online that have patterns. You can look around your house, your clothing items. Sometimes I find when I open mail, have you ever noticed the inside of an envelope that has a black and white or a blue and white pattern? So there's all kinds of patterns you can copy and mimic. This had me thinking, I don't know why, but this had me thinking of a soccer ball, because and then it's just a play on that pattern. And like I said, I'm really not thinking ahead, so I didn't know that, I would be shading these in yet because I'm not thinking about it. But once those lines are on there, it felt very busy to my brain, and I wanted to put in some darker ink. So these decisions I'm making are really, once I make one decision, it influences the next decision. And that's why I find this relaxing, is I'm not thinking ahead and not planning too much outside of just knowing that I want to fill some circles on the page. And now I'm drawing these, I don't know if you'd call them little doorbells, little doors, or portals or rainbows. And then I'm filling in some of the lines, whether it's polka dots or solid, but I'm just zoning out and filling in the space. Here's a closer look, doing some lines, creating pattern, creating interest for my eye. It's a little whimsical. But the other thing I find with creating pages like this in my art journal is that when I'm going to make a painting, I might pull one of these patterns or, this kind of look into the painting with paints, but it's already in my head stored somewhere, right? I think there's this muscle memory that happens between whatever you draw and practice and then what you might do. So that's why these little doodles are important. And that's why I like spending time on them, is just because it's not a painting and I'm not going to be selling it, doesn't make this time that I'm using this as unimportant. So if you are an artist, or you want to start painting more seriously, all these little doodles or sketches or ink or drawing or painting in a journal is a low pressure way to learn how to also find out what you like, what catches your eye, how to do it. And so I find this to be fun. If you're somebody that prefers to use a pencil, you can always do it in pencil first before you put the ink over it. I tend to think that if I make a mistake, it's a happy mistake, and I'll turn it into something else, or I don't worry about it too much because it's not work that's going anywhere. It's really just for me. I often think of art and the creative way as just a way of living and navigating through this world and your life. So it's something that I go back to when I feel that I need to create space for a little bit of peace and quiet. So this piece is almost finished. I think I just have a few more circles left. This one was fun. I was kind of in the mood to do a pattern play on triangles within a circle. It's almost very geometric. And then just going around and doing some shading. And you may be called to do really intricate designs. You may find that that relaxes you, or for some people it may not at all. And so I would just say make sure you tap into what you like and where your eye gets drawn to. And if you're somebody that likes to watch videos, you'll kind of see what you're drawn to. And then this is really just wrapping up these circles. I'm now creating more loose lines. I go back and forth between something more intricate to something very loose. And like I said, I did this over a couple of days, and I would stop and go get water, go get coffee. It's not necessarily something you would do in one sitting. So, and that's really up to you. If you did it in one sitting, maybe that would take you 3 hours, depending on how fast you work. And then my last one here is a triangle. So this has been a nice video. I do hope that you enjoyed it and that you like your finished product. What I would say is it's really something you can go back to time and time again should you feel that you want to have some peace and quiet. This is one of my longer videos. Oftentimes I do very short ones just to get you in an artistic mindset and to be able to sit down and enjoy yourself. But my goal is that you find a little bit of peace and you get to relax in your busy life. Thank you so much for joining me.